Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is FongChua. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I have the opportunity to help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today, I have an amazing guest. He's somebody I met a few months ago online. And man, when I saw this guy's profile and I saw all the stuff that he comes up with, I was completely blown away. He was interviewing people left, right, and center. And I'm like, I got to get this guy on my show. And turns out he's right here in my hometown. So it was very nice to be able to connect with him. He's a person that came all the way to Canada from Vietnam, went through 2 refugee camps in Indonesia. At a very young age, in grade 10, he was already programming software. I mean, that is amazing. And then he was at the same time learning a second language. In my mind, that's a third language because computer programming, that's a second language on its own. Then he got into a career of information technology. He funded a leadership and management consulting company years after that. Then he was invited to facilitate management, business, leadership courses for the universities and also colleges. He is an executive coach, a management consultant, a corporate trainer, a speaker. He's also part of a band. He sings, he plays the guitar. So please welcome the person who's going to help you find the leader within you, Mr. Dune Nguyen.
Thank you, FongChua. How are you doing today, my friend? Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
I'm doing absolutely awesome. And thank you very much for your time and being here and sharing with us. So how's your day been going?
It's going well, and it's a Saturday, and we're having a good time here in the Sherwood Park area, which is right next to Edmonton.
Great. Well, for people who don't really know everything about you, could you tell us a little bit of a history and as to what you do today and how you help others people succeed?
Right. So the idea is that I came to Canada with a very open mind. One of those refugee camps, people that came into Canada in the early 80s. And early on, I've committed myself to just learning everything, absorbing everything that was in Canada, whether it's the culture, whether it's the food, whether it's the language or anything like that. And so in that learn journey, what I found was that, first of all, Canada is an awesome place where we're all fortunate to be in this country here, in this wonderful country. And so my interest in personal development also translated into helping others develop. So that really fueled my passion when I'm able to help people develop themselves. So because of that, even though back in the early 80s, I had an early career of in IT. Back in '86, I was paid to program software when I was still in grade 10. And so that long journey of IT career across North America. But really the idea is that evolved into management consulting and leadership development and corporate training and a lot of university teaching as well. So yeah, it just sort of evolves. Like, when you have a passion such as personal development or learning or teaching, it evolves over time. And in my case, that's what happened.
That is awesome because for somebody in grade 10 who's already being paid to do programming, for me, computers and programming is not even close to my realm. My very first programming class was in university, and I completely flunked that class. I remember going into that exam not knowing anything. I went in, I'm like, let's see what I know. And the first question was something like, please write a procedure. I'm like,
yeah.
Don't know how to do that. Next page. With the procedure you just wrote, please write the input. I'm like, oh shoot. I handed in basically a blank piece of paper. So yeah, kudos to you for being paid to actually do programming at that age. Yeah. So how did you go? Because programming is very left-brained mentality, very analytical. How do you go from there to becoming a consultant in leadership and management? Because that's more of a right-brain mentality to be able to engage and work with other people.
Well, great question, Fong. And I believe that we all have both, of course, left and right brain in us in various mix. And at times it could mix up a little bit through our life's journey. And for me, I've always been interested in music. So that's more, you might say, right brain side of it. And so music, playing guitar and all those kinds of things. But early in my career, I really focused on, again, university and colleges and whatever have you, and a lot of technical work. Through that, I've always realized that I love working with people. I really enjoy, I'm an extrovert, so I really enjoy working with people. I really enjoy, talking with people and really so through that, I did a lot of human interactions in what was actually a very technical role at first, and then it evolved into a less technical role. And as I went into sales, went all over North America, did a lot of sales, and we would compete against some really big huge companies, hundreds of times bigger than us, and we would win because of the product that we had and the offering that we had and the way we did it. And so I learned all of that through that work there, if you will. When I graduated from NATE back in 1991, April 1991, Computer System Technology, I said, you know what, love this place, want to come back one of these days. But eventually I did come back as an instructor part-time for them to actually launch a business analysis program within their DMIT program, Digital Media and Information Technology. So the idea is, your life evolve and you go with it. And we all have different parts of our life embedded in us, and we just sort of discover it over the long haul. And I discovered, as much as I love technology, and I still do, very different kind of technology, I love working with people even more.
Wow, that's awesome. You mentioned that you play the guitar and you have a music background. Have you always had a music background, like back when you were in Vietnam?
Yes, when I was probably 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old, my mom and dad gave me a harmonica because it was cheap, you buy a harmonica. And so I learned how to play harmonica, but very quickly I also got a guitar, a classical guitar. And you realize that the guitar is very versatile for all kinds of things. So guitar became my main thing at about 6 or 7 years old. Took a few classical guitar lessons and we was able to play some of those classical songs. And so it started early, but what happened is in my 30s, I was so busy with business and family and all of that, I put all my guitars away in the basement for 11 years. 11 years I didn't do any music thing. And then, of course, making up for lost time when I turned 41 a number of years ago, I got back into playing in several bands. We would play for 500 people, 10-course meal, 5 to 10 singers, many of them international singers who fly in, and so we have lots of fun with those Vietnamese cover band, which somehow I got into. But yeah,
That's very, very inspiring. For somebody who had a music background, who performs and all that kind of stuff, do you find that having that ability to go up on stage and sing and perform made it a lot easier to go up on stage and speak and teach?
yeah, you bet, absolutely. So speaking is in a way a performance. Speaking is definitely communication. I teach a lot of communication as well. But really, speaking in part is a performance. And as you're comfortable with performing, whether you're on small stage or big stages or with famous singers or with just your own content, you do get comfortable with that. And so definitely it really weaved into, when I do corporate training or university teaching, I also bring in the kind of the fun side of it, the inspirational side of it. So, as I have the inspirational speaking kind of background or keynote speaking background, as I have the corporate training or university teaching and whatnot, and my music performance and whatnot, I can bring all of those together to give something that's a bit more unique than if you were just focused on teaching only or performing music only. So I'm aware of other perspectives as well. So that's been helpful.
Have you actually sang in a instructional environment?
Yes, I have. One of my courses early on at McCune University on a Saturday. So a lot of my courses that I teach are kind of typically before COVID anyway, Friday, Saturday, full days, or in fact, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, full days. And one course, I brought in a guitar and set up, and I demonstrated how product demonstration works and things like that. And I had business analysts coming up and participate in the demonstration. And so we made fun of that, and we sang and played guitar, and again walk through what is really a mock kind of presentation of a product. In this case, is a particular product that's very innovative guitar from Line 6. So,
Well, I'm pretty sure the people in class did not expect that whatsoever. They all of a sudden, hey, I signed up for a class. I have a performance now. This is great.
Yeah, what it was what you can get away with on day three is a little bit more, especially when it's a Saturday,
Mhm.
a little more than when you can get away with on day one, especially if it's on a Thursday. So the idea is, through the 2 or 3 day courses that I teach, and I've taught about 68 different courses at
Wow.
4 universities on contract part-time. So I've done that 68 different courses in 5 programs, and when you do that, you learn a number of lessons. And one of those lessons is that as you develop the relationship, not only through that course, but people come back and take other courses from me in that program, you can have a more fun along the way even.
Mhm. Do you have a secret when it comes to getting yourself pumped up and motivated and ready to go up on stage, either for speaking or performing?
Do I have a routine? Not really. I mean, I walk around. One of my routine, I suppose, is I walk around among the audience, right, and talk to them. And sometimes I go around and I take some photos, and people think I'm the photographer because I have a pretty nice camera, and they think I'm a photographer. Later on, we introduce that as the band member or as a speaker or whatever. People are a little surprised that I am the speaker or I am the band member. But so I hang around them and just don't say too much about what's coming up, and just absorb where they're at, and listen to them and talk to them. And then when it's my time to come on stage, I just strap on, in the case of a guitar, strap on a guitar, or in the case of speaking, you grab a microphone or whatever, and off you go.
Great. I think that's very strategic and very smart. You get to engage with the audience beforehand and got to know a little bit more about them before you actually go up on stage, so that
Yeah.
you could actually, when you're speaking, you can really
Hmm.
speak towards them and be able to understand where they're coming from and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Your big thing right now is leadership.
Hmm.
What about leadership got you to gravitate towards it? Like, what about it really motivate you to really talk more about leadership and spreading that word?
So early on I realized that leadership is, first of all, you have to be able to lead yourself, right? So self leadership is an important aspect, and so the idea is, when I, at 13 years old, having made the decision to put my life on the line and escape Vietnam at that time, war-torn country, turmoil, lots of turmoil back in the early 80s there. Thankfully, it's gotten a lot better there, over there since then. But what happened is, when you make that kind of a decision to put your life on the line, to pursue a vision such as Canada, that you find compelling, your psychology changes. The way you see the world changes. The way you see risk and challenges changes. The way you see what is possible changes. So when you put your life on the line willingly to pursue something that you believe in, that, in my view, is the start of clarity of self-leadership. That is the start of saying, I'm going to live my life purposefully. I'm going to make choices, some of them very difficult. Some of them involve really me, in my case, putting my life on the line for that vision. And through that, I've learned a lot of things about leadership. And through all of my work, when I had, 13 or 12 senior management consultants on staff as employees, I learned a lot of leadership skills from there. I would hire people who were way better than I was and were more credible than I was. And together as a team, we consulted at top levels in city, municipalities, and provincial government, state government, and whatnot. One of my staff even, ran one of the cities as a temporary city manager for a number of months before recruiting the new person. So the whole idea is, through that journey of management consulting, through that journey of entrepreneurship, and having staff and contractors, you learn a lot of leadership skills. And so I found that over the long haul, those were really important, and I wanted to focus more on that.
What would you say the number one reason why leaders fail?
The number one reason why leader failed, probably, if I had to pick one, I would say that they didn't listen carefully enough. Listening is really important.
Mhm. Wow.
So whether it's listening to reality, whether it's listening to, in some cases, your competitors, listening to your staff, listening to your team, listening to your customer, listening. Listening is, one time I was in a project management course, and it was a whole series, and this one young person, there's a mixed group always. I teach in continuing education, so there's all kinds of age group there, and people have all kinds of level of experience. A young person asked me a very big question early on the first day. He said, Dune, if there was only one lesson or one thing that I would do to become a better project manager, what would it be? I say, well, that's that really, really
That's a
important
bonus
question.
question.
And first question before we even start the course, I said, well, I would say it's listening, because when we listen carefully, the answers are often embedded in there. When I do management consultant, and I'm a certified management consultant since 2005, so it's called a CMC designation. It's a global designation. When you do management consulting, the joke in the business is if you listen carefully enough of the people, the clients that brought you in, the answers are already in the room. The answers are already within the organization. You just have to be the one to kind of polish it a little bit, to kind of present it in a certain way, formulate it, and analyze it and whatnot. But again, if you didn't listen carefully, you would have come in and think that, oh, you have to reinvent this whole thing yourself as a management consultant, which usually is the bad plan. So the answers are already typically out there. Again, context before content. When we listen, we really understand the context. So yeah, leadership, listening is an important part.
Throughout your entire career of consulting and coaching and helping people succeed and working with leaders, what would be the number one life lesson that you got yourself?
One of the life lessons that I got myself from consulting and having owned a company that I still have the same company, but I scale it down because of the other things I was interested in, getting back into music and be able to do university teaching and corporate training and whatnot. I scaled down the management consulting company for many reasons. But when I was doing that and when I was really deep in that and having a big team there, what I learned is that let good enough be. As I say to people, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And some of my clients joke and say, hey, Dune, you're not recovering, you're still. So I'm still very interested in excellence.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned both at work and at home is at some point, particularly when it comes to other people, when you work with people, you have to kind of say, their ability to run with it and be able to get 80% good enough or 85% good enough is more worthwhile to me than me trying to interfere and me trying to, micromanage, me trying to, quote unquote, collaborate with them, trying to squeeze that 1 or 2% out, when really the big grand scheme of things, it's actually better if they can just feel, the autonomy that you give them to go ahead and run with it. And so having learned that lessons with extremely senior folks, I was able to apply that to my home. At that time, I was younger in my life at home, and kids were young, and my wife and I at that time was not married 25 years like we have now. At that time, we were early in our journey. Having learned those lessons have improved my relationship with my wife and my kids. The idea of do not try to hit perfection in everything in life.
Right.
Some of those things, perfection or anywhere near perfection, is not that important. It's not that important. The relationship is more important.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions are a lot more important than the actual specific details of something. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned. Not only affected my leadership skills and my teaching, but also affects my personal life, because it really helped me out at that time. Had I not discovered that, I don't know where we'd be. I don't know if my wife would be celebrating 25th anniversary with me last August here.
Wow, congratulations on that. You mentioned a few times about relationships, and I've gone through some of your interviews and your podcast. Man, you have a lot of people, and you were able to interview a lot of amazing people, like great business people, great performing people, artists and whatnot. So obviously, you know exactly how to build very strong and good, long-lasting relationships. How do you come about that? How do you build good relationships? Besides listening.
Great question. Great question. And the thing is, we all actually know the answers to this, right? The idea is it's all about value, right? People intrinsically in everybody's mind, they're thinking, uh, is this person somebody who sort of bring value to my life, who enrich my life, who, right? So if you want to build good relationship, you want to focus on really learning and understanding the people, that included listening, but then understanding and empathizing, and then focus on how can I provide value, right? As an example, when I interview each one of those guests, and we've done 119 so far. So I've done 119. What is an hour and a half for an hour? One guest went 3 hours with us. That's not a goal, but we had such a great conversation. We kept talking. But the really idea is when I have a guest on for an hour officially, we run over a little bit and whatnot. When we run over and we're having fun and whatnot, my focus has always been, how do I provide value for this guest? I don't worry about the next guest. I don't worry about the other guests. I don't worry about standardizing things. I just solely focus on that person. How do I provide best value for that person? So if you have clarity of what you're trying to do, providing good value, and as you learn more about the person that you're dealing with or the group that you're dealing with, and you're providing value, that tends to be very good with relationship building in the long run. So I would boil down to that. Can you find ways to provide value all of the time?
So what got you motivated to start your show?
Interesting. Great question. COVID hit and we were all impacted. And myself as a trainer and a speaker, and I also had other consulting job as well that was able to allow me to work from home. So I had that flexibility. And in my case, I look and I say, well, a lot of my musician friends were really suffering because the entertainment industry was really hit hard, and the speaking industry was really speak hard, and training industry. So all the circles, many of the circles I operate in, and people who I consider really good friends have been impacted very hard by COVID. So I said to myself, how do I provide some value to people? In this case, as community connection. So when I started up the Conversations with Dune and Friends on Facebook, it was about community connection. So how do I help be part of a small part of connecting the community to other people in the community? And so that's what I did. I started out just inviting folks and share their background, their stories, and their insights and their lessons learned and their challenges. In some cases, their music, because again, on Facebook alone, I probably am connected to well over 1,000 musicians. Many of them I actually have played with. Well over 1,000, probably 2,000. But in that circle of musicians alone, I was able to sort of kind of act as that conduit, as that facilitator for community connection. So that was appreciated. And so I quickly reached out to my speakers community and then my trainers community and my business community. It's just sort of continue from there.
Well, I work with a lot of clients and I go, hey, you need to start a show, you need to start a podcast and all that kind of stuff. And they always overanalyze that whole process and go, well, I don't have enough topics. I don't have enough people to interview. When you start to decide to go, hey, I'm going to do the show, did you quickly and go, I'm going to do one episode a day right away?
Yeah,
Or did you start off with,
immediately.
wow, that
One thing
is,
you need to know about me is I don't do anything kind of halfway. When I decide to do something, I tend to refer to myself as what's called a deep generalist.
Mhm.
So I get into a lot of different things over time, but when I do get into something, I go really deep. When I get into sound engineering, I get in there and I buy all kinds of different mixers and learn different, digital, analog, blah, blah, blah. I just get really deep. When I learn how to play guitar, and if I'm going to perform, I sort of just put myself all in there. And so in this case, the moment I started this broadcasting, this interview thing, I know that about myself, self-awareness. I know that I'm going to go deep. I know that I'm able to go deep. One of the confidence, really good confidence that we can build over the long haul is our confidence in the ability to learn and to adapt and to adjust. And I have learned that about myself. So because I know I can learn, very good. I'm really a professional learner. When you ask me, some people ask me, what do you do? I jokingly and somewhat rightly say, I learn for a living. I learn for a living. So I knew that I would be able to learn all the stuff that's needed, and I knew that I would, whenever I start something, I tend to go really kind of deep with it, and so I expected that. So I said, well, you know what? Let's do it right from the start. Let's do it every weekday. So I started the show with really booking everybody every weekday. And since April 21st, we have 119 guests. We missed a couple because last minute scheduling conflict, they had something come up. For example, if you book a speaker for an interview and they have a client offering a paid gig that is on that date, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, Dune, can we reschedule? And it's
Well, that's
great. So we reschedule. And so, but if that rescheduling is relatively last minute, then I would just leave that day without any interview. That's fine. We don't have to have every day. I've learned long ago, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to consistently over time be consistent.
I think that's very, very valuable, because lots of people go, oh, I missed something, and they're all panicking and they're all like saying, oh, I screwed everything up. But the fact that you go, you know what, that's okay. I'll just live with it, and we have a blank day. That's not a big deal. And I think that's something that lots of people need to learn, because it doesn't have to be 100% perfect all the time. So I love how you I love how you approach that problem. When it comes to the COVID situation, everybody is kind of locked down. We are all facing challenges. For somebody like yourself, who's gone through refugee camps, gone through lots of different challenging times during, let's say, recessions and all that kind of stuff, and now also this challenge, how do you approach challenges? How do you overcome challenges?
One of the first things I say to myself when there's a big challenge, whether at work or at home, I say to myself, this is my time to earn my paycheck. This is my time to shine. Truly, I really believe in this. And I teach this, the idea of, about the 80-20 rule, right? 80-20 rule says that, let's just take it. It applies to virtually everything in life. So you say 80% of the value that your employer or your client gets from your work actually comes from 20% of your time. 80% of the value that they get comes from 20% of the time that that you committed to working for them. And so the question is, what about the other 80% of the time? You know what? The other 80% of the time, you try to be valuable to them, but you are not awesomely, fantastically valuable to them in quite the same way. Accept that fact. Accept the fact that in any job, in any aspect of life, 80-20 rule is at play. So how that translates, I'll give you an example. When I was 13 years old, I came to Canada, and of course, without having any money, I had a shirt on my back and a coat that was provided actually lent it to me by the government, because we had to pay back that travel flight ticket, $1,200 or whatever, each one of us. And so, I had a coat because we came in, dead of winter, January 13th, 1982, 3. And so when we came, I very, very much know the idea of, you learn all of these different things, and you just have to kind of develop over the long haul. Yeah.
Cool. For instance, one of the things that you like teaching and like showcasing is how a person could live a great life even though in troubling times.
Yeah.
How would you tell people to go about that?
Well, I know it's possible, and I've done it. When I was living in Vietnam during war-torn country, and we didn't have a lot of, we were so poor, hardworking family. We were so poor as a family that some days we would have substitute for rice because rice was a little bit too expensive. You imagine, Vietnam is known for rice country. That's what we produce. One of the main things we produce as a country is rice. But some days rice was just too expensive. So that's actually a substitute for rice that's cheaper than rice. So freedom was lacking back then, because right after the war, people think when the war is done, everything is clean. And no, there's an after impact of the war, whether it's with freedom or whether it's restricted movement and whatever, all those things you can probably imagine about a post-war scenario. I was living through the war and post-war and all of that stuff. And I describe how our kind of scarcity it was in terms of food and things like that, hardworking, but I was always happy. I was always happy. So I knew early on that happiness and joy does not require comfort. Happiness and joy does not even require freedom. Happiness and joy does not even require money or any of those personal, material things that we all rely on. Okay, so I learned that, and because I learned that, I know that all of us, regardless of how constrained we are, can find a way to live our best life at that moment, given those circumstances. When I say, how do you live your best life? I don't mean to be the richest person in your wildest dream. I don't mean to be able to have a freedom to do anything that you want to. I don't mean any of that. I mean the best life possible that you can make it, making the best of it. So in any situation, our job should be, how do I make the best of it? And don't compare it to before COVID, and don't compare it to other people. Don't compare, just say, how do I make the best of it? So that's what I mean when I say, how do we live our best life? Again, we look at the context, we look at the situation, and we assess it, and we really embrace reality, embrace adversity for what it is. Don't fight it. And then say, how do I still live my best life, given that these are some of the constraints currently right now? I have no control over COVID, but there are things that I could do in this context. For example, if COVID did not hit, I would not have started that that interview show and whatnot. I would not have started that because I would have had no kind of impetus or right? So again, every time there's a big challenge where reality changes, we get the opportunity to reinvent. We get the opportunity to assess and reassess and move on from there.
Mhm. Now, for somebody who's gone through such life-changing experiences with the war and coming to Canada and all that, all those challenges, all those obstacles, would you say that your ability to face risk and make risky decisions or make harder decisions a lot easier compared to somebody else when it comes to business or when it comes to performing or making those decisions in your day-to-day life right now?
Yes, I think so. Let me first start by saying we all, human beings, we all get used to what we get used to. I get used to this wonderful life that we have here in Canada. And Canada is a fantastic country. I just can't say enough about it. I'm sure you agree, Fong. And Canada is fantastic. So there are things that we love about Canada that we would hate to lose over time. There are things that, all of those kinds of things. But at the same time, I remind myself, what do I have control of? What do I have control of? And life is always about trade-off. Listen, when we drive our cars to and from work, we're taking risks. The question is the risk worth it? So to me, it's always about evaluating the trade-off. Life is just a whole series of trade-off, always a trade-off. People say, a product or service is always expensive, way too expensive until somebody really believe in it, somebody really just love it, somebody really would find huge value, then it's not too expensive. So it's always about assessing what are the benefits and what are the risk things that you might have to possibly put on the line. Well, like I said, when we drive our cars from home to the office or whatever we do, everything we do in life is always risk. So to me, the biggest way is to clarify the benefits. Why would I take that risk? We joke and we say some people say, well, some people have trouble committing to, let's say, marriage. They don't want to get married because they might not end well and whatnot. Well, one of the reasons that people commit to marriage is they believe that there's a huge upside to spending a lot more time with this person over the long haul.
Mhm.
If they did not believe that, why would they risk all the other, things that might go wrong and whatnot? So in life, we just have to clarify what are all the upside of any particular action or strategy or whatever, and weigh it and say, is this right for us? And none of us can decide for someone else. We each have to think of through, and so I don't take risk just thoughtlessly. I look at the pros and cons, and the most important tip I can give people is just to clarify, visualize. If it works out, how good would that be? What would that look like, and whatnot? If it doesn't work out, are you okay with that?
Mhm. Cool. For somebody who works with a lot of different people, consulting, coaching, and mentoring, do you have a mentor, a coach, or somebody that guides you along to who you are today?
Right. There has been a lot in my journey. In fact, some of my mentors have actually been my employees, and some of my mentors. I'll give you an example. One of my employees was actually a military colonel, 28 years in the military colonel, retired from that, or semi-retired, you would say, went on to actually run the city that I live in, Strathcona County, this Sherwood Park and the bigger Strathcona County. He was the chief administrative officer, CAO, essentially a city manager. He was there in that role for, basically runs that city where I live for 10 years. And then when he retired, I reached out to him and say, I heard you just retired. Are you really retired? Or are you semi-retired? And Bill said to me, Bill, he says, Dune, I'm reading Harry Potter right now. Maybe get back to me in a couple months. So I got back to him. We went and met. So he went on to be with my company. He worked with us for 10 years before fully retiring. And this is after the military, after the CAO of Strathcona County. He came and joined me. And in that whole journey there, as much as he was part of our team and working for the company, I counted him as one of my mentors in terms of leadership. And I have a lot of other leaders that I admire as well that I listen to. I listen to a lot of videos, and for example, when it comes to negotiation, Herb Cohen is just awesome, and so I listen to all of his material. Herb Cohen actually is a negotiation expert that actually teaches the FBI, and he actually advised presidents and whatnot, United States presidents. So I tap into a lot of inspiration people, and when I tap into them, I just look at everything that they have to offer. And the other thing as well is I'm mentored by people who, again, my employees have mentored me a lot. And early in my career, also my company owner, Herman Lusink of Computronics, he was really a special gentleman who started the company. So, for example, he's one of my mentors about how to build healthy organizations and how to, again, treat people properly and how to really invest in people. And when I left that company after 12 years of giving them my all, I had tears coming out of my eyes and say, 12 years ago when I said I would probably start my own company sometime, well, the time has come. I'd like to start my own company. And he said, well, we bless you, Dune, go ahead. And he said, do you have contracts yet? I say, no, I'm just going to go out and just figure it out. And he said, well, here's some contracts for you. So again, my mentor also was my boss. My mentor was also, in a sense, the person that supported the launch of my business. So I have lots of mentors over the years. Some are far, and some are, kind of immediate, and some are even quote unquote reporting to me, staff or employees were my mentors as well.
Well, now there's a lot of people I know that believe, oh, they could do everything themselves. They don't need to ask for help. They'll figure it out. What do you say to those people?
That there used to be me. And, as a perfectionist, as a person who really loves learning, as a person who really can learn a lot of stuff of all kinds, I used to think I could do all of these different things and whatnot. And along the way, I found that, you can do that, but you're playing a smaller game. If you want to play a bigger game, a longer game, you need to really collaborate with people. You need to really hands off the wheels and just engage them and let them do what they do. And so in terms of what I would say to them is, I would say to them, like kind of like this one-man band. I do that for sometimes singers would want me to play something for them, and I just do one-man band for them, supporting them on the keyboards and whatnot. But there's a limit to that. There's a limit to what one person on one keyboard could do. Mm-hmm. If you want an awesome orchestra, you're going to have to engage many talented musicians, and you have to engage the conductor and all of that. So my question is, what vision do you have for your life? Are you just for the rest of your life be a one-man band, and that's all it is just do that? And if you're happy and content with that, then okay, you can do everything yourself if you like. But you have a bigger vision, then you're going to have to engage a lot more people. So that's what I would say. What's your vision? Clarify your vision.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to performing, do you have a funny story or a mishap or something that you could share with us during a performance that you've done?
Yeah. So I played in at one time 4 different Vietnamese cover bands. It seems like I was just all of a sudden I went from the Vietnamese community didn't know who I was because I was really fully kind of engaged in the work that I was doing and was a bit of a workaholic. When I started playing guitar professionally, and we get paid and whatnot, and we play, we take it seriously because these are famous singers from all over the world flying in, and we back them up and whatnot. So we take it pretty seriously. People pay good money to have to be at these concerts and having a lot of fun. And so I take it very seriously. And one time I was on stage with my guitar, and those whammy bar that you kind of pull on
Yeah.
that actually makes it. Let me show you, like this thing here.
Are we gonna get a performance here?
No, I didn't plan for that. So this one here, right?
Yeah.
That's called a whammy bar, right?
Mhm.
So what happened is the cable I hooked up, I looped around, but then that particular cable, it was an angle cable, and I was playing, and I was like looking at my bass player and say, you're in the wrong key, because I know I know I was in the right key. I was looking at him and say, he's looking at me and saying, no, I'm in the right key, and looking at the keyboard player, and she thinks she's also in the wrong key, the right key. And so I was like, this is weird. I'm playing, and it's exactly one semitone apart, right? So one semitone apart, just one fret apart. And I was like, typically when you're out of tune, you're just a little bit out of tune. But I was exactly one semitone away. So I think, you're in the wrong key, you're in the wrong key. Well, it turns out, as I looked down, that little cable was actually putting pressure on this whammy bar. And this whammy bar, as you know, it takes you out of tune, right? That's the whole point of it. That cable just snagged on it a certain way and just put me out one semitone away from my thing. So I'm playing, let's say, in D minor, but because it did that, I was actually in C sharp minor. So like one, note away. And I did not know. And so the lesson that was reminded was that I love this quote that goes, it ain't what you don't know for sure. It ain't what you don't know that really hurts you. It was for sure that just ain't so. So that's a rough way of saying, false assumptions really hurt. So I was assuming my guitar was in tune because I tuned it just, not too long ago. And then I know I was playing the right key. My memory tells me I'm playing the right key. My finger says I'm playing the right key. So the band must be off key, right? I was assuming that this thing was not playing a trick on me, and it did when it played trick on me. And so anyway, that's an interesting mishap where I was like, you guys in the wrong key. Okay, I'll follow you, and we'll figure out later, but I'll follow you, but okay. And then after the song was done, I looked down and, oh yeah, it was me.
Did the audience actually know, or it was just within your own band that kind of felt that something was off?
You never know what the audience knows or what the audience don't know. 500 people, depending on which part of the evening. If it was early in the evening, people would notice. If it's really late, close to midnight, nobody would notice that kind of thing.
They also have a few drinks in them, so it might be the drinks.
Yeah. So I don't know if they notice, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, things happen.
I've noticed that throughout your camera angles and all kinds of stuff, you have a lot of photos of that specific compass. Is there a story behind that compass, and why does that compass gravitate to you?
Yeah, it's important to me that we all have a guidance system that we put in place, and whether it's mentally or spiritually or physically or emotionally, all those kind of different, compass and whatnot, really a guidance system. And so that just reminds me of just keep on working on my guidance system, because when we work on improving our guidance system, we're going to make better decisions. We're going to have better thoughts, better feelings, better whatever. So what are the guidance systems? So I'll give you an example. One of the components of my guidance for how I live my life is be kind to people who might even think that you're a little bit stupid for being kind. That's okay. Just be kind anyway. Another guidance system that I have is, you want to learn in a way that, don't let what you know prevent you from what you need to know. So always learn, just put aside what you know for a moment and say, I'm going to learn this. And through learning it, then you can decide, does that change what I do or does not change what I do? When I teach university and colleges and corporate training, one of the things that I tell people is that if you are here to do incremental learning, then okay, I say something and it seems to make sense. It makes sense. Good. Okay, those are incremental learning. But the really transformational learning comes when somebody says something, somebody explains a concept, and you say, I don't agree with that. That doesn't make sense at all. So you say, that's just contrary to everything I know and everything I believe to be the case. What I would encourage people to do is just hang on, listen, really listen, just tune in, just put your own knowledge aside again, what you know and what you've been doing, and just focus on, okay, where's this conversation going? Okay, can I see that being true? If it was true, what would it mean? And you can do your judgment later. So, the biggest learning allow us to suspend judgment.
Mhm.
So the guidance system, the little compass that remind me some of those things that I have learned over the years that guide how I live my life. And I can go on and on about those kind of principles that I kind of discovered and embraced. But it's just a reminder for us that if we can work on those guidance system and stay firm to it, stay true to it as much as possible, the detailed decisions that we make are going to be aligned. So when you're traveling, make sure you have a compass.
As a professional learner, what are you currently learning right now that you're currently perfecting?
Right now, I'm learning a whole lot about live broadcasting in all of its methods. So as you can see, this is the first time your audience is the first group to be seeing me in my stand-up setup.
Mhm.
All the 119 interviews, I was over there in my sit-down setup, right? Okay. In my sit-down setup, well, it's different because you are a certain different mode. But I'm trying this stand-up setup because the more of the for example, next week I'll be doing another online course with Mount Royal University, and then the week after that I start another one, and they run for 8 weeks each of them, right? And so as I do more and more online stuff, some formats require this, stand up so that you can kind of be more animated rather than just sitting down. So that's one of the things that I'm learning is that whole virtual presentation, that whole virtual, just get it to the best I can get over the next little while.
Mhm. Now, if you had an opportunity to have a few minutes to talk to the entire world, everybody's listening to what's going to be coming out next out of Dune's mouth. What's that message that you want to share with everybody?
Well, there's so many, but if I have to select just one message, I would say that the message is be part of the solution. Be part of the solution, folks. Try your best to be part of the solution. We can all very easily be part of the problem. We can all very easily complain about the problem. We can all very easily theorize about, all kinds of stuff. But in our own limited way and limited capability we all have, how can we be part of the solution? If that means providing joy to others in this tough time, it means to be encouraging and kind to others, if it means to keep on learning so that when times are different after COVID, we can, kind of leverage those opportunities. But all of those are in the category of be part of the solution. Figure out what might be a component of that, and you're much better off being one small part of a solution than a big part of a problem. So be very mindful of that.
Wow, very, very powerful message. Thank you very much for that. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, either know more about your show or get in touch with you with regards to your training sessions, your courses, or even get you to come and perform, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
I'm very public with my name and my online presence. My website, of course, is my first name, last name.com. So DuneNguyen.com, which is spelled DUNENGUYEN.com. So DuneNguyen.com. But if you just Google my name, even just Dune and Nguyen, which coincidentally is the most common or popular Vietnamese last name, I was told that in Vietnam there's about 100 million people or so. I would not be surprised if about 40% of us had the same last name. Mom and dad had the same last name before they were married. Sister and brother had the same last name before they were married, and on and on. So we all had the same last name, and so very common Vietnamese last name, again, Nguyen. So if you Google DuneNguyen.com, you'll be able to find me. And if you just Google Dune Nguyen, you'll be able to find me. And so I'm in all the platforms, whether it's all the typical ones anyway, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter and things like that.
And plus, you have a very, very cool name. It's like a blockbuster movie.
It's funny because I got to tell you a quick story. First of all, my name, Nguyen, is very common, so it's everywhere. However, Dune is actually, this is a story about how I got the name Dune. But anyway, Dune Nguyen is a combination that if you go Dune Nguyen, I practically own the internet search, okay? So that combination is very unique. And then the second thing I'm going to say about it is the other day I posted a video and somebody was like chimed in and said, hey, this was false advertising. I Googled Dune 2000 and your video came up as if I made it up. You know, my name has been Dune since 1991 when I graduated from NAIT, and I changed my name because I didn't want to go through. Again, there's a story I can tell about that. But the whole idea is Dune Nguyen, and they don't pay me any money for the book or the movie.
That's very cool. Before I let you go, I have a quick 5 questions to ask you. Just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. If you have an opportunity to perform on stage with someone else, and that person could be anybody, who would you like to perform with?
Wow. Interestingly enough, I have never given that a thought. So the answer is going to be just a random and sort of ad hoc here. Perform with anybody on stage, who would it be? And wow.
Does it make it easier if I said dead or alive?
I think, you know what? Eagles. I'm just going to say with the Eagles, that would be cool. Whether it's Don Felder or any of the group, or maybe the entire Eagles group, and we'll do Hotel California together or something. But yeah, the Eagles just come to mind. Very
cool. Now you have the entire band at your house right now. Okay, the Eagles band is at your house right now, and you're supposed to serve them dinner. So what's the specialty that Dune can prepare for them to enjoy?
Do I want to be good or do I want to be bad with this answer? If I wanted to be a good host, this is the Eagles. Oh my goodness. I'm going to order takeout from the cake. I'm not a very good cook.
Go with the safe route.
Yep.
When you're on stage and for whatever reason you miss a certain lyric, what do you do?
I keep on going. One of the things that I teach people is when you make a mistake on stage like that, don't go back and try to correct it. Unless, of course, you say something that is really kind of materially kind of bad that needs to be corrected. But if you're performing music and you play the wrong, just music, move on. So I just move on. A mistake that a lot of new singers make is that they miss something and they actually go back and try to, well, the music is moving on. And if you're trying to go back, you're not going to be out of sync with it. So live in the moment. In other words, live in the present. The past, even though it was 1 second ago, is still the past. Don't try to relive it. When you're performing live, that's what it is about. You got to find a way to just plug into the current moment and move with the music. Music is a great thing to remind us of that, especially on fast songs. It's like we are moving along, and if you made a mistake, too bad, so sad, let's move on. We're on a different bar now. We're now in bar 121. 120 is so yesterday. Let's deal with bar 121.
Right. You're in the Olympics. Which sport would you like to win the gold medal in?
Wow, it has to be a real sport within the Olympic. Which sport would I like to win the gold medal in? Wow. I don't know why, but I just think of hockey, partially because in respect to Canada and how much we love hockey here, and hockey is a team sport rather than an individual sport. And so I would say hockey, not because I'm such a crazy hockey fan, but because of, again, I have a lot of friends who are really hardcore hockey fan. And Canada, we love hockey here, and because hockey is a team sport, and hockey is a little bit of a national part of our national identity, a little bit. So I would say hockey, just because I love Canada so much.
Good. And final question: what is
Mhm.
success like? I have 4 cards here. Give me a number between 1 to 4.
Oh, I'm gonna pick three. Three is a powerful number, as you know.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. So the word is lunchbox. How is
Mm,
success like a lunchbox?
wow, cool. Well, success is like a lunchbox in that you need fuel for the journey. And success is a journey, it's not a destination. Success is a journey. One of my favorite quotes comes from Earl Nightingale when he said, "Success is the progressive realization of an ideal." So if we are progressing towards an ideal, working towards our goal, we're already successful. We're already on that journey. And don't wait until you hit a certain thing before you say we're successful. We are successful when we're actually progressively realizing that ideal. So the lunchbox is really the fuel that I need in order to make the journey through the day, whether at work or at school. And the lunchbox is just representative of again, the fuel that we need to be successful, because it takes a lot of effort to do the right things at the right time with the right people, and that energy needs to be replenished, whether it's real food in this case, or in some cases are just emotional energy or spiritual energy or psychological energy. So energy is an important part of success. Success doesn't come without a whole lot of energy, and the lunchbox represents that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. That is how success is like a lunchbox. Thank you for your time, all your stories. I loved how you did different camera angles. I loved how you shared your stories and brought out the guitar too. So thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Fong. Folks, tune into Fong's channel, FongChua channel, and he's doing wonderful stuff with many different broadcasts. And I've been honored to be part of this broadcast here, Fong, and much appreciated. And have a wonderful rest of the day, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And everybody else, make sure you tune into his show. He has lots of great interviews, lots of great content. And Dune has been an amazing person to connect with. So make sure you reach out to him. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.